anyone, all our members are here, so we don't need to do a Zoom poll.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. First input, our first item, public input. If anybody has something within our purview they'd like to talk to us about that's not otherwise on the agenda, this is the time. Raise your hand in the room or on the web. I don't see any hands. That brings us to action items. Draft decision. Site plan 2025-02, 21 Grafton Common.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll just briefly summarize. So, this is the final draft of the decision for the eating establishment. The board might recall that there was the proposal is a change in use from a commercial use, a real estate office to a eating establishment. There will also be an outdoor eating component as well as part of the ask. Pretty relatively straightforward. There was a couple of highlights that I did leave in that obviously need to be updated, so I apologize for that. I will take care of that later on. I did upload this a little bit ahead of time before I went away. So I'm happy to answer any questions. There was nothing flagged really. I did have one kind of highlighted note here, finding 21 regarding the garbage collection. Based on my description, my conversations with the applicant, I believe I got that correct, but I just wanted to make sure that I did. So, if the board has any questions for me about that specifically, but the refuse collection and disposal will be handled in the same manner that it was being handled at the former location of the Uncommon Cow at 1 Grafton Common. So nothing significantly changing here. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have or address any edits.
Questions?
I have nothing.
All right. Mr. Chair, I move to grant the site plan approval, find favorably on all findings, approve the requested waivers, conditions, and the draft decision as written and as modified during any discussion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted unanimously. Bond reduction request, Grafton Hill.
Hey, Fiona.
Yes.
Yes, hi, Steve.
Sorry, it's Steve. I was on mute. I was trying to ask a question.
Sure.
Thank you for approving that. But I just wanted to make sure. So you and I discussed, Fiona, that in my email that you sent me, I don't know, 3 weeks ago about the sign. Mm-hmm. So we have the sign permit that's in, and then I already went in front of the historic committee and they already approved it. Obviously now it's in the building department's hands. Mm-hmm. But is there anything I need to do with the planning board for our sign?
I believe you do need, under the sign bylaw, an approval for relief for the number of this. They're having 2 signs at the front of the building, right, Steve?
Yeah, basically I took the 2 signs that were already there, the McGill Associates. There was one up top and there was one right over the door. So we just took those 2 exact signs and recreated our own in the black and gold lettering. But they're the same size and the same exact spots.
Okay, let me touch base with Tracy tomorrow and make sure that I'm understanding everything correctly, and I can follow up with you. Sorry for the delay. I did see.
Yeah, that's okay. I just want to make sure, just in case, because if it wasn't stated, then I have to, we'll have to do something again, I guess, over. So.
Yes, I will follow up with you tomorrow, Steve, and make sure that because if it's just changing of the lettering, I'm just gonna have to review the sign bylaw one more time to just confirm if you need to come back.
Sounds great. I appreciate it, and thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Good. That shouldn't be too hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bond reduction. Grafton Hill. We have,
Sorry, just writing that down. Okay. Yes, so, sorry, give me one moment. Okay. So we have a, construction cost estimate that was provided by Graves Engineering, pretty standard, write-up. The applicant, who is here, is requesting a reduction of the bond to $403,000. The 20% contingency is $321,000. That will obviously be maintained until the road goes through the acceptance process and then eventually the bond release process. But this number is the number that the board would need to pay attention to. Myself, Jeff Walsh from Graves Engineering, and the Barlow team were out there a couple of weeks ago, I think. Now, my brain is all over the place. But, yes, so for good reason, I think. But, yeah. So we were out there a couple of weeks ago. We did a walkthrough. Things are coming together. The construction's looking good. This is current. I vetted this as well before, with Jeff ahead of time. So yep, I have no additional concerns or comments. I don't know if the applicant wants to mention anything else or, okay.
anybody have any questions, comments?
Move the board approve the bond reduction request in the amount of 403,000 or,
Second.
yeah, that's 403.
Moved and seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Approval not required under 12 Clearview Street, Grafton Hill.
Same subdivision, a different request.
Yes. Yep. So this application is basically merging two lots that unmerging two lots that were previously combined. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not what I wanted to share. Oh, okay, maybe it is. There it is. So, oh geez, come on. Okay. So the two lots in question, or the subject of the application rather, are proposed lots 6 and 5. The board did an A&R in 2017 to merge these lots, and now there's been a change in the wetlands over time. So the lots are both buildable, and the developer is looking to basically have the lots divided in this manner. Reversing that 2017 decision.
Going back to the way they were, basically.
Yes, right. Basically, exactly right, Dave. Going back to the way that they
Were
were.
they that way when we approved the subdivision?
Yes, they were. And just something else to note, that there is an exclusive common area easement that was on this lot here, map 47, lot 142. That's being extinguished, and that's going to be added right along the proposed dividing property line between the proposed lots 6 and 5. So it's just being extinguished from one lot and added elsewhere.
Questions, comments?
My only comment is, I really dislike this whole way to add frontage, but it's within the law, and it's not a new concept, but it's still something I've never really liked. But just like saying that out loud sometimes when I see it.
Anything else?
But is that different than the way that the lots were?
This is how it was approved initially, so
Okay.
it's not a
Okay.
it's not a blocker to me. It's just a thought.
How do we account for the wetland change? Like, is
Yeah.
that something that's tested or examined? Like, how do we know?
Yes, I won't speak for the applicant, but I will say that there was, I believe that there was recent flagging that was done that found that they decreased in size over time. So it allowed for buildability of these two lots.
Come to a mic.
Neil Rubicki, Whitmore Homes. We had conservation out along with Art Allen, wetland scientist, to determine a negative determination of wetlands out there. That they just dried up over time.
Got it.
I didn't think wetlands ever went away.
Well,
I thought they always got to be more of a problem.
the original road, there was a swale going down that side, so, when we put the roadway in, that swale got removed and that area just dried up.
I think if,
And when was that, the recent? The determination?
yeah,
A couple months ago.
Excellent.
I think if conservation says there's no wetlands there, we generally, we should take their word for it. They know more than we do about wetlands.
Yes.
And they've said that?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, you know, Concom has issued a negative determination.
correct.
Okay.
I will move the board finds approval is not required and direct staff to do the appropriate documentation.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so voted unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Approve 2026 Planning Board meeting and submission schedule.
Just our standard schedule I approve every year. I can take absolutely no credit for doing this. Thank you, Natalia, for your hard work in getting this done. I did check it. I did not have any concerns or see anything that was incorrect.
The usual suspect.
Move the board approve the 2026 meeting schedule
And
and submission schedule.
Second.
moved and seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted unanimously. Bills,
I move we approve the payment of the listed bills.
Second.
moved and seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Minutes of previous meetings. We have one set of minutes from a while back.
Yeah,
Yes.
from June of last year. And I'll move that the minutes of June 24th, 2024 be approved as drafted with any changes noted during discussion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion.
So Justin might want to note that on page 5, paragraph 6, he is named Mr. Woods.
I did not catch that. Thank you.
Probably Wood is the more appropriate word there.
Yes.
Page 6, paragraph 6. There was a public comment or asking about whether something was within the historic district. I think the word should be within. You know, these are major problems I'm spotting here.
Listen, I'm glad you caught it.
And the last nit on page 7, second paragraph, there's a comma after Fisherville that probably doesn't need to be there.
Anything else?
Other than that, I suspect my memory of that meeting is not sufficiently good to have spotted any other inconsistencies.
It's only a year and a half.
This is-
What do you mean?
This is very different than my memory. That's only because my memory doesn't exist.
That'll be different then. Further discussion, questions, debate? If not,
See what Craig does. Did we already motion in second?
I think it was.
Yes, I did
it
make a
was.
motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Staff report.
Okay, so we are busy. We're going to be seeing, we are seeing and will be seeing an influx of applications. So I am basically coordinating, getting those reviews and permits and associated, work done by the time I leave. I am going away from the 12th to the 26th of November. So just a reminder of that. So basically my focus between, now and then is to get as prepared for the 10th and the 24th as possible. I believe Natalia will be with you on the 24th to help with anything in that regard. But yes, so be prepared for a lot of material coming your way. In addition to that, I was away and I've been back for a few days. I've been mainly playing catch up, but town meeting went well. The articles passed without an issue. We are working on the Form 7, getting that into the state with the floor amendment language added. That's being finalized. In addition to that, it's pretty much business as usual. A lot of requests for development team meetings to discuss projects and kind of go through what's needed for applicants on that end, and a lot of coordination with the building inspector. We're starting to do our construction monitoring for 59 Pleasant. That project has started. We've been getting some feedback from abutters, so kind of working with Tracy and making sure that, whatever is required from myself and the planning department is covered in, that is listed in the comp permit, that, I'm staying on top of that, as well as other general construction monitoring. Nora's doing wonderfully, continuing to work on minutes. Natalia's also doing wonderfully, kind of helping me in the kind of wonky month that passed and a wonky month that's upcoming. So I'm happy to answer any questions. On the grant front, it's been a little bit slower. We did try and apply, myself and Paul Canori were going to go after a Complete Streets Tier 3 grant for extension of sidewalks along Millbury Street to connect to there was a Safe Routes to School sidewalk grant that was awarded to the town in 2019. We wanted to extend the sidewalk network further along, but we just need to make some more progress with the design. So we're thinking, I've been going back and forth with Mass DOT about it, and I think it might be better suited for a application in January. If we can get them a more finalized construction cost estimate, with the help of DPW, we'll still go for it this round if we can, but if not, worst case scenario, we'll go for January. Yep, I think that's pretty much most of it.
How far are you thinking the sidewalks can go?
It's going to go, it's proposed from the corner of Millbury and Crosby to corner of Millbury and Hudson. Yeah, it's about 0.7 miles, so, little by little, sidewalks are expensive.
Question? Anybody, anything? All right, correspondence. I don't think I saw we had the submission. But otherwise, I didn't see anything there.
Yeah, my only comment on correspondence is there was a flyer in there for the Grafton Business Networking event that the Economic Development Committee is hosting. It's going to happen on Wednesday, November 5th at the Grafton Public Library. We do have a special guest that's going to be speaking there, Kevin Quiros from the Central Mass Regional Director of Office of Business Development. And there will be refreshments and food provided, so if anyone that is here listening or will watch the recording wants to attend, you're more than welcome. And there is a RSVP link somewhere, but apparently it's not in this flyer, so that'll be.
Yes, I can follow up with anyone, or they can just email the planning department if they want information. We're working with the TA's office on that. Mr. Chair, if I may just add a couple of things too, just elaborating on two items in the correspondence. So the first attachment, so some board members may be familiar with the MVP process that was done. We did a combined MVP planning report with Northbridge and Millbury back in 2017. The MVP program is going through a revamp, where we'll need to re-examine that planning effort. It's titled now MVP 2.0, so there's going to be a task force assembled, and it's got a heightened focus on equity and more inclusionary practices, so we can update our planning and can basically from a renewed lens. So this is a requirement for any MVP action grants. So we are up for this round, and we will be applying. I am planning to apply for this within the next 2 weeks. I've been speaking to Hillary King pretty regularly about it. Seems like a relatively seamless application, but I'll have more information about the rolling out of MVP 2.0. But we do need to have a letter of commitment from from Evan, so that's what this letter is. So as part of the application, and the only other thing in a similar town event, the Grafton Affordable Housing Trust is having an affordable housing forum coming up the day after the EDC networking event on the 6th at the community barn. There is a maybe there isn't. Well, there is a link. I'm happy to share the Eventbrite link for anyone who's interested in that event. Refreshments will also be served there. Anybody who wants to learn more about affordable housing, there's some speakers from CHAPA as well as Massachusetts Housing Partnership that will be addressing the crowd. So just wanted to highlight that. That's all I have.
Anything? Nothing else on correspondence? Well, yeah. Oh, what we were just doing. Anyway, reports from planning board representatives on town committees and CMRPC.
One modest item from the Open Space and Recreation Committee, to which I'm the board's representative. The committee hasn't met since our last meeting, but one of the committee's accomplishments of sorts was approved at town meeting, which is to take the 227 Milford Road parcels, the Oakmont Farms open space, and place them under control of the Conservation Commission, which was intended back when that project was approved in 1996, but never happened. So we got town meeting to approve that. So now, we add those 200 and some odd acres to our inventory of protected open space.
Yes, good job.
Very good.
The Open Space and Rec Committee is going to be pursuing more such identification of parcels that should have been or should be under Conservation Commission control. So can expect more of this at future town meetings.
Yes.
Yeah, I think over the years, it's been a little bit of, different ways, rather than.
Yes, I get questions. I've gotten a couple of questions from people. Don't we have a procedure to make sure that all this protection actually happens? And more recently, generally it has, but there have been some that have fallen through the cracks over the years.
It's the older ones.
Yeah.
The 80s and the 90s subdivisions.
So we have a fairly substantial list of candidates for that.
Yes.
Can't do them all at once.
And then from the CPC front, just kind of a reiteration for town meeting. The town meeting voted to move forward with the acquisition of multiple parcels on Providence Road,
Providence.
and for $455,000 that the CPC had prior to town meeting voted to appropriate the funds from the CPA's undesignated fund for the town. So when the town meeting voted to approve that, that was coming out of CPA funds. So that's my understanding is that's moving forward now. But
So that'll just be paid. There won't be a loan and
correct.
payments.
We have prior to town meeting we had over $1 million in the CPA funds at this moment.
Back when that started, it didn't seem like there was gonna be that much money. But somehow, one way or another, they've managed to do
Yeah.
a lot with it. So, okay, well, we have 5 minutes, and I don't think there's anything on the agenda. Well, I'm busy up at CMRPC, but I'll try not to bore you with it, because it's mostly executive committee and it'd be too easy, Ray. Troublemaker, I know you're type.
Well, I thought Dave did a very nice job for us on the town meeting, representing the planning board and getting the
Yeah.
town meeting vote on the master plan. So, nice job, Dave. Thank you.
Just imagine what would have happened if I had tried to go through in detail to talk about
geez.
every part of the master plan.
Look, we had 78 people, and I'm glad we
Yeah.
didn't, it would have been, like, what, 12? Well, how many people have to stay on the stage? 6, 7,
About 12.
Hmm?
About 12 people.
12 people have to be on the stage.
Yep.
I remember when the charter was being discussed, and, well, back in whatever, we had 4 people in the snowstorm, so we're not gonna have a quorum in the charter. You remember that?
No, I don't.
Well, that was before.
That was
before.
No, it wasn't before my time.
Oh, yeah.
No. The charter?
No, the charter was approved in 1987 by the voters.
But the process
That was
was
before my-
85, 86.
So the Charter Review Commission probably was established in something like 1985 or 86.
It was 2 years before my time.
No, I remember when you were, never mind. You don't wanna know.
You were a pain.
So what's new?
Nothing.
How did we get this trouble? We voted for him, didn't we?
Yeah, we voted for
I
it.
do believe we did.
I don't know how that happened.
Everybody makes a mistake.
Yeah, right.
This is what happens when the board has nothing substantive to do.
Yes, yeah, it was
And we
3
have to
minutes
wait
to
till-
kill.
Yeah, we
I think
have
we-
to
Lot
wait
of-
till
lot of-
6:30.
I think we should,
Sparring.
I think we should increase the ticket price. I mean, this is,
Mr. Chair, I will say CMRPC seems to be having a lot of upcoming events as well. So I did notice there was quite a bit of email flying around with the upcoming regional housing and transportation plan. They are also having a few information sessions, and also I should point out, if anyone on the board is interested, CPTC, which is Citizen Planner Training Collaborative, has upcoming trainings. They're starting to release those. Those are very helpful and great. With ZBA, planning board, select board members, communities, all attend. So just let me know if anyone is interested in attending any of those. We'll send you the information and sign you up. So it's that time of the year. I will be there. So
there's 1 minute. Why don't we just vamp for a minute? What have we been doing? Everybody knows what vamping is. Like vaudeville,
Yes.
vamp until writing.
Oh, Fiona, speaking of master plan, you guys doing any work towards the implementation?
yes, so I had our summer intern work on compiling an info sheet on best practices for master plan committees, implementation committees. They have a variety of names, but yes, we do have some information to work off of. I'm going to be coordinating with Evan upon my return to get that kicked off for at the very latest early 2026. Yeah, we definitely want to hit the ground running. There's a lot of important action items in there. So
Yes, I'm sure you'd never guess, but that's a topic I'm somewhat interested in.
no. Yes.
And it is now 7:30.
Indeed it is. That brings us to a continuation of the Bola Plaza. Again, we have two special permit, we have two applications here. Special permit 2025-10/SPA and with site plan approval for 215 Worcester Street, and site plan approval 2025-03 for 1 Hawthorne Street. They're all on the one piece of land, really, and we've been doing our hearings together because they interact and save some time, I think. How are we doing?
Okay, so since the last hearing, the applicant and their engineer have produced some material. So the Graves Engineering did produce a peer review report outlining some edits to the plans and some general commentary regarding stormwater management, general engineering, general commentary. There was a memo that was issued by myself that was back on October 2nd. The applicant's engineer did respond to that in a memo. It's Exhibit 18 covering the comments, the outstanding comments in both. And if the board had an opportunity to delve into that, but most of the edits to the plans were incorporated. They're a revised site plan set, Exhibit 17. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Exhibit 17 of 215 Worcester Street, 1 Hawthorne Street. It's Exhibit 16 with a revised plan set. So all of those materials have been uploaded to both project pages. So at this point, the board we should probably delve into some of the feedback on provided by the engineering team and any additional concerns about the plans and the peer review report, if that makes sense. If the board has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them before we kick it off to the applicant and their team. If I may, Mr. Chair, through you, ask the applicant, is John attending?
He should be online.
I don't see his name on here.
There it is.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, okay. His ears must be ringing. Okay, wonderful. Okay, great. That's pretty much all I have, just a more general update on material submitted since the last meeting.
Nothing stuck out in my mind reading the peer review and the applicant's response. Nothing really struck me as being nothing that I have any questions about anyway.
If I may, again, Mr. Chair, I think it would be beneficial for members of the board just before, before we get, into the nitty gritty, just a brief explanation, just so it's clear. I think it's been a little bit of time since we've discussed this, just the flow of the daycare traffic and understanding kind of peak times and how that interacts with the overall flow. I do understand that there's a 14-foot one-way access aisle. Presumably they'll be entering, parents and staff will be entering through the curb cut on Williams Road, circling around the building and back out through that same curb cut. But I think I'd just like to get a better understanding of that flow. There was a couple of other things that I wanted to talk through. That's the sidewalk discussion as well, John, just to kind of see where we're at with that. There was a comment that was submitted as well under the to the planning department. It's in the exhibits on the 1 Hawthorne project page, requesting some further information. There was a request about a traffic study being conducted based on the number of cars, but I think if we could just get a better explanation of how many cars we're looking at and kind of how this is going to flow might help everybody understand a little bit better. Myself included.
Who do
Mr.
we
Chair,
want?
Mr. Chair, if nobody's gonna talk, then I will.
Of course.
So, I wanna say, I wanna preface this, my questions with that I am 100% in favor of this project. This piece of property and these buildings on this property, have been, this property has had hazardous materials dumped on it, which Mr. Fitzgerald knows very well. And buildings have been built on property lines. Buildings have been built without permits. Renovations have gone on this property without permits. Additions have gone on this property without permits. It's been a real nightmare. And what we've got here is we've got somebody who, I'll compliment Brian, has foresight to see what can be done on this piece of property. Okay? What I don't want is I don't want another H-aid piece of property and buildings built on it that are not going to be good. I have all the confidence in Brian to do this project correctly. The car wash came out beautiful, looks nice, everything, and I expect the same thing on this. Now I will get to my question. So, my first question is, and it could be to Mr. Federico or to Brian, doesn't matter. Did you apply for a DOT curb cut permit? I'm not the chairman, so you can.
Good evening, and for the record, John Federico, apologies for being a few minutes late here. We have not submitted the application just yet for that one there. It will either be filed as a roadway improvement for the sidewalk portion, or if necessary, we'll file it as the curb cut. But we have added the sidewalk to the plans, and we have at least made sure it's consistent with any existing sidewalks that are on Worcester Street. So pending how feedback from the rest of the meeting goes, we can definitely get that submitted concurrently with this application.
Okay, because I would want to see that on our final approval, just to make sure that it gets done. Go ahead, Brian. Were you going to say something?
Oh, that was John was about.
Oh, I'm
to say
sorry.
something.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not sure what he was.
I was just going to ask on something like that. Would you be looking to have the application filed for your approvals, or like how exactly would that work? Because I know like a DOT process does take several months, and there is some back and forth that happens with them on that type of situation.
Well, the DOT permit requires you to, you have to apply, okay? You can't do any construction work within that area without having a DOT permit approved. So.
Oh, no, we understand for that.
So timing wise, I think I personally would want it in our approval that a DOT permit is required on this project. However long you take to do it is your construction process. But you can't start any construction out there at all without having a DOT permit. And you're well
Completely
aware.
understood for that.
Yeah, you're well aware of that. So that DOT permit will also take into account crosswalks from the Cumberland Farms side across the center, and probably over to the other side, but that's up to DOT to deal with that. The outdoor amenities space, I'm sorry, the planter with the flagpole is not completely on the property. Again, that's something that may get addressed in the DOT permit, but you have a planter with a flagpole that's not on the property. A third of it is not on the property. And I'm just bringing this up. The outdoor amenity space, Brian, you said you were renting 2,500 square feet,
That's correct. Yeah.
but yet you have the amenity space now at 4,737 square feet.
We did. We increased the snow storage area. I do want to have the capability of maintaining whatever they do for their amenity space outside for the outdoor seating there, to be able to still maintain a public area that's removed from that and still allow the snow storage up front.
So the amenity space now is not twenty-five, gonna be
No, it's,
25,
it's
it's gonna be
2,500.
4,700.
It's 2,500 what they're bound by the lease.
Well, I'm lost then. They're bound by the lease for 2,700, but you want 4,700.
No, that's going to be public, partially public. All of that will be, even with the snow storage, as I was saying earlier in the previous meeting. We'll probably put some picnic tables out there. People from whomever, if they want to just stop by, if they're in one of the other shops or they're over at the daycare and they just want to kind of relax, have their lunch, they'll have that availability to do that without actually being inside the tap room space or the outdoor seating area for the tap room.
So the amenity space is 4,737.
Well, if you
Well, that's what it
consider-
says on the drawing. I'm just saying, that's what it says.
Yeah, that's well, I mean, there was always the 2,500 for the
But the 2,500 is not
space.
shown on the drawing.
well,
For-
John could
for
probably
clarity
fix that because
purposes?
it was 6,700 feet, I believe. On
Yeah,
the particular
that's
amenity
what it
space.
was last time, yeah.
So that would be less. The 2,500 square feet is where you get the number of the 41 something.
Now I'm getting motion sick.
For clarity purposes on that, I can add in a note. I apologize if I had missed it. To state that 2,500 square feet of it will be leasable towards one of the tenants. However, the entire amenity space that is being provided outside of the portion that will be used as a snow storage area is going to be that 4,700 number.
Okay. Staying in the same spot, there's a dotted line around the outdoor amenity space. I'm assuming that, and I don't know for sure, that's up to the select board, is that they may have outdoor music. So what kind of screening is there for the junkuses?
Yeah, we
They
haven't
live there.
fully discussed that, but I'm assuming they're going to be, well, for one, there'll be that whole dumpster area that will be on the other side there that will be fenced off and from the junkus themselves. And then there will be shrubbery and there'll be a space in between too, about 15 feet, I believe it is. That is where we have snow storage, whatever, just to create a gap so they don't have their amenity space right up next to the dumpsters, obviously. And I'm assuming they're going to wind up putting up like arborvitaes or something to screen it in, make it a little more intimate. It's not just going to be sitting out in the open, so.
Okay, and the dumpster pads, you're showing two, and you're showing a wooden
four.
stockade, there's four, okay. A wooden stockade fence around them. You know, that's gonna last maybe 6 months. And, you know, chain link with privacy slats would be a lot better.
I think he just showed a typical cut for a dumpster fencing. That's
Yeah, I know, but if we sign the drawing, that's what gets put on. So, that's just another, the dumpster pads outside the amenity area, are those rollaway dumpsters? Cause there's grass around them.
no, it's going to be on a cement pad. Those are
No, how do you get the
cans.
dump to them?
pulling right off of Jonkus here. There's enough area in between that strip there where you can pull a truck right in where we're still off the road, but yet accessing the dumpsters.
Okay.
That's why they recess back from the end of the building even a little bit.
There doesn't appear to be any curbing on Hawthorne Road or Williams Road, except at the openings to the parking lot.
There isn't currently, but it is
No, I
shown
know.
on there. There's berm areas going right along the whole side outside the egress that's going out. And there is no egress on the Hawthorne side, strictly on the Williams side,
So there's,
directly across from Cumbies.
I'm looking at a detail of these curbs, and there's curbs on the inside, and then there's the property line, and there are no curbs shown on the outside, on Williams Road. None.
Meaning on the town property? Because we're putting in berm beds is what we're doing throughout the.
Yeah, I know, but is that
islands.
all the way around, because your curb cuts go to a line which is an overhead wire, and it is not shown, maybe John can bring it up. John, are there curbs on Williams Road?
Currently, we're not proposing any sort of curbing
Okay,
along
that's
the
so there's,
town right of ways. but that was something that we were planning to discuss with the planning board as needed.
Well, I don't think, okay, so there's no curbs on Williams Road.
Correct.
So across the street at Cumberland Farms, we have granite curbs. And that was approved by the planning board. So there's gotta be some type of curb there, and I would assume it's gonna match Cumberland Farms, which would be granite, along Williams Road. You don't show it on your drawings. You don't show a curb on Hawthorne, you don't show a curb on Williams, you don't show a curb anywhere,
If I could
really.
interject, aren't the berms on the Cape Cod berms on the islands considered a curbing?
They don't go to they only go to the street and the curve, and that's it. They're not shown on Williams Road.
So it's supposed to be like a double curb is what you're referring to, right?
No. No.
I think.
So
I'm
look
confused
across,
on it. I mean,
if we look across the street right here, you can see the sidewalk and you can see the curbs at Cumberland Farms. They're noted right there on the drawings. If you look on your side of the road, your curbs end at the curve, at each curve of the entrances to, the entrance to your property. There are no curbs shown on Williams or Hawthorne.
John, could you refer to that? Because to me, I look at it and I see an island that's got a asphalt.
So there would be a grassed island. Essentially, our right-of-way improvements was going to be removing any excess pavement. We did not have any curbs along the roadway proposed unless specifically requested by the planning board.
Okay, so I was right. We went through all of that, and there are no curbs on Williams Road or Hawthorne. The barriers on Williams Road up by the building, those barriers are shown right on the property line. I'm not sure, again, there's no curb there, and there are barriers there, it says planters. I'm not sure what the planters are, but I would only assume that the first snowstorm, they're gonna be pushed right in. So, I like the way you have the drive going around. I think that's great for a daycare. But, I think there's gotta be something a little more permanent than, planters. Again, a granite curb along there that the plow could, they could put the plow up against instead of what I'm assuming to be wooden planters, should be required.
Those we had discussed with the planner about putting a possibly like removable planter or something that they could set up as a temporary barrier during the flows. And if in fact there is a snow event, it's probably going to be me that's plowing the place. That's who's done it right along. Those will get removed inside or whenever and then put back out after things are cleaned up. That was the whole idea because snow is going to go, you've got to be able to move it out of that corner and get it around to the backside.
So then a granite curb right along there would separate the property from the road. And this doesn't say temporary, it doesn't say temporary barriers, it says barriers along there.
Well, there's common sense in that as far as being able to utilize those temporary service just for the direction of the cars and to keep in isolation from the street and then to also be anticipating a snowstorm to be able to move those in, move them up under the overhang of the building or whatever might exist at that point. Over there will be a different overhang, I'm assuming.
Yeah, my concern about removing snow is not you removing snow, it's the town pushing the snow off of Williams Road, and where does that snow go? It goes right up against those barriers, or it goes right onto your piece of property?
Onto my piece of property and I will take it away from there. That's the idea of, not having something that's permanent there.
So anyway, the curbs are a big thing. There are no curbs on Williams Road or Hawthorne Road.
If I could say, there has been an open parking lot there for 50 years where everybody just zips in and out of there. By closing it off, I was hoping on this redevelopment project, and this is no concern of the board's or of yours, but just financially trying to make this all viable. I was hoping there was gonna be a little leeway out of this, that it's like, okay, we're not gonna get too nitty gritty. I can recall building the car wash over there where they maybe put in the concrete sidewalks with granite curbs, and then the state comes along and they do the other side of the sidewalk, which mine went from nowhere to nowhere. And they do all, asphalt berms, asphalt sidewalk, and connect it to the others. Like, all right, that makes sense. It's just, I'm trying to put as much into as possible. And a lot of it even goes back to the environmental costs that were incurred in this place to kind of stop the hemorrhaging and the threat that was occurring from that property, to clean the blight out of the place, to bite off something that nobody else did out of this. I signed away my life, my family's life on this thing. I'm hoping there's a little grace from the board where we don't have to get too nitty gritty on certain particular things. Traffic issues, fully understand, would love to discuss that with you. There's been a lot of thought process into that. Apologize for being a little blindsided, Ray, but I was not really, I was looking personally at, those are the berms, we're sealing off the egress through everywhere on that parking lot, but apparently not to satisfaction.
Well, I mean, it just, again, at the beginning, I prefaced my comments that.
Not on the granite
that I
curbs, this is new to me.
I want this to be really, really nice, and I know you're gonna do it, make it really, really nice. But
I like to think so.
I don't think that and I'm just one member, I don't think that the planning board is gonna give up on curbing that's not shown in anyway. But I'm almost done, and I'll let somebody else talk, but, the catch basin on Hawthorne Road, that thing is sinking rapidly.
It's a solid structure, it's just around the top of it, there was some infiltration that
Yeah,
eroded, that's
I
going
mean,
to be
there's some,
replaced.
there's some poor soil that runs down through this piece of property. I say poor soil, it's not hazardous, it's, it's just, some silt in there and some peat. But I think a lot of the curbs on the front and the crosswalks and all of that stuff and that planted with the flagpole is gonna be addressed by the DOT permit. But the curbs on Williams and Hawthorne, as far as I'm concerned, you gotta have them. And this temporary removal of barriers, that's the first I've heard of, and I don't know if anybody else on the board has heard of the temporary barriers. They're shown as planters, so, but I'll let somebody else speak.
I'm, the one comment we got today about the traffic gets me back to, I think I asked about it, the flow and so on, but I was just thinking about the road in general when we talked about it last time. Now, as I look at this a little more closely, can you describe exactly, most of the traffic will be coming from this end, up that way. There won't be a lot of people coming from
The
other
Worcester
side,
side.
from Wyman Gordon side, some.
Yeah, I really don't know, but I would assume a lot of it comes from this flow.
They're gonna, to get their kids there, they're gonna turn left on, Williams.
I wouldn't think so, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but my whole plan from the initial part is keeping it a very even flow and coming in right from the main entrance of the road.
All right, the
and then
main
following
entrance
right up the
is
curb
in front of
with
the other business,
yeah, it's actually, if you can see how it's kind of tailored leading into the parking station there, they'd come right in the right side, stay to the right the entire way up, stay to the right all the way around the building, and then right straight out.
Coming in from Williams Road?
No.
Coming in from Worcester
Worcester
Street.
Street.
Worcester Street.
Yeah,
there's, right in the middle of the property, there's
Yep.
an opening. How wide is that?
John could probably speak to that. I'm assuming that's John, do you happen to know the width of that opening?
If you can give me a few minutes, I can try to scale it in. I don't have the exact dimensions off the top of my head. It is the existing curb cut though. So as far as sizing goes, it would be anything dictated by DOT when we go to apply for their permit.
Because we have some rules about the width of driveways.
Yeah, it's 40.
There was a time when we didn't, and we
40,
have
but it's 20 and a half.
places that are, have no,
House or 24.
no defined areas. Okay, so you make a left turn in there,
You
and then
turn to the right. You turn to the right and then take a left up Williams.
I thought you said you make a left from Worcester, Street
Correct, correct.
in.
Yep.
And you somehow weave through, I guess that's
No,
parking
yeah, right there,
lots,
exactly,
all the way to the back.
correct.
And there's a, somewhere it said it's one way, around the building. But once I get around the building, then what do I do?
Left right there, and then take a quick right, and it's a single path that's in and out, making that horseshoe, almost following.
I don't see where the,
Show the arrow, Fiona.
Yeah, so you start coming this way, around, down,
yes,
or then this way,
yes,
around, up.
And out to the right of the island.
okay.
Kind of a natural flow
And
without any intersections of cross traffic through the parking lot.
on up there and back out, where they came in. They're not gonna be going out on,
William.
Joncas.
No, didn't have the intention of that at all.
There isn't an exit on Joncas, is there?
I'm sorry?
Is there, is there supposed to be an exit on that side?
There is it's an exit there right now currently,
I
but
know,
it's
I
only
was there.
servicing basically that little car dealership on the right and also the Joncas Rollins house over there, so. And anybody else that cuts through that street there.
See, I'm kinda concerned about, as you think about it, 200 cars making a left off of Worcester Street. We're talking about not needing a traffic study.
Yeah,
I don't know.
If I could add to that at all, Mr. Chairman, the flow, it's gonna start probably at about 6:30 to 7 o'clock. And it continues for a couple of hours, probably almost 3 hours. They have staggered time that the people have to show up. They don't just come randomly. They have the kids scheduled for particular drop-off times, anywhere from just before 7 right to 9 o'clock. And out of that, it's up to 200 children. That is what they're looking for. That's the maximum that they could do out of that. Whether or not that's it, but that's what the approval, that's the way the design on the building was done with the flows, and it's certainly what they feel is a need for, to have that amount of children in there. So, and a lot of the people have 1.2, 2 kids in daycare at the same time, or whatever it might be, so.
If I may also add to that, I believe during the Graves peer review, they did take a look at the traffic numbers as well. Based on the existing uses that were for the site versus any of the proposed uses, including the daycare, Graves did concur that the traffic study was not going to be needed for it.
Yeah, did you see though, we got a comment today that claims it'll be much more traffic and a problem, so.
I did not receive any of the new comments from today,
Yeah, well,
unfortunately.
It's on the site as of, I don't know, not long ago.
So, Mr. Chair, I do want to talk to this myself, but I just want to point out there is a public comment on this topic that I'll just read into the record just to say out loud. Elaine Urban of 23 Williams Road mentioned, "My biggest concern is the traffic that these will produce. Why will there not be a traffic light? It says no traffic will increase, but with the daycare and a brewery, there is going to be a big traffic increase." That was a member of the public just now. So, my thoughts are, number one, to the commenter's point about a traffic light, the applicants themselves are not usually responsible for doing a traffic light in general. we have done in some cases where there is a giant impact on the quality of the road and the quality of intersections, have asked an applicant to do a proportional contribution toward a traffic light development and such. The most recent of one that the board has involved was UPS over near Pine Street. That this is not going to be a UPS level impact for sure, in my opinion. The other point in question, my understanding is, given the daycare is covered under the Dover Amendment, I don't know that we have much wiggle room in terms of, if there is a traffic study, how bad would it have to be for us to be able to deny under Dover Amendment, even if we wanted to? I don't think there's really any leeway.
There's not.
And that is for the daycare's traffic alone. The other property and use, the board could say we need a traffic study and make a determination based on that. I think, at least personally, I agree with the report from Graves that it doesn't seem like it's going to really be that telling for the board in terms of that property and use alone to require a traffic study. That's my opinion. The one other non-traffic related point I just do want to make is for the outdoor amenity space, where you said mentioned there'll be tables and the brewery could maybe have people outside using stuff. This board has previously required, for some other businesses in town, the one that comes to mind is Reunion, when they have had outdoor seating for their business, especially drinking involved, that we've had more permanent type of structures like Jersey barriers, for example. I forget the exact ones we require for Reunion, but something that would impede a vehicle if it happened to accelerate into that amenity space. Because there's parking right outside where Reunion stuff was, and this is a flow of traffic right there, basically heading toward the amenity space as well. So I would lean toward maybe wanting something like that, and I don't know how we might condition it or require it in a drawing, but something a little bit more traffic impeding than just.
It is too, as you can see with the amenity spaces, it's recessed in that alcove of the buildings there.
Yep.
And it's not, directly across from like oncoming traffic or anything like that. There's either parallel traffic to it on those two sides. It want to get with that amenity space in quite an area in between, but even regardless of that, it's on the other side. It is protected in that alcove where the outdoor seating is, but certainly try to explore something with that and take it under consideration.
Mr. Chair, I think that the aisle around the building is great for stacking cars, to drop kids off and stuff like that. I think it's fantastic for stacking cars up that are not going to affect the rest of the parking lot. That's not going to affect the traffic on the street. I think that's really good. Again, my concern is these barriers that are on the property line, in that stacking lane. I mean, I'm not overly concerned about the traffic study here or a traffic light or anything like that. And again, DOT looks into all of that stuff, so they have to, they're the ones that would be making a decision on that, and I doubt that they would make a decision to put a traffic light there. But, again, that 14-foot one-way access aisle is great to get around the building and great for stacking vehicles. It's just the barriers on Williams Road.
You mentioned the cost for over UPS. The difference, of course, is that that's a town road.
Yes.
It's all town.
Oh yes.
Paying for it, whereas this is state road, of course,
Yes.
and you can wait until the state decides to provide money to put in a light there, if you want to, and if they would agree. And there's some other places we've asked for lights where along their roads that they haven't. I wonder, Ray, if maybe you're talking about the snow plowing issues and whatnot. I wonder if we should be asking our department that plows of snow.
Did they review this, Fiona?
Yes, I believe they did. I don't know if they provided. There was a comment from Paul, just speaking predominantly to the capacity of the wastewater collection system, that it was satisfactory to accommodate the flows.
I know Paul was sitting in, I probably had 7 or 8 development meetings, maybe not quite that many, half a dozen development meetings, and Paul was present for a couple of those. And I believe one of these, Fiona, correct me if I'm wrong, we were discussing the barriers. We tried to shrink them up. You know, I had suggested different things right along the line there, and I believe Paul was present during those early meetings on this.
He may not have been focusing on that. So I'm wondering if you could ask, somehow involve him,
Yeah.
get some input.
Well, I mean, like I said, that access aisle works great. The barriers, and now, Brian, you said that they're temporary. That makes it even worse. So, and no curb. So it's not a designated lane on Williams Road. It is on Hawthorne Road because you've got landscaping in between it. But again, no curbs.
And to further clarify that point, we do acknowledge that there is no landscaping buffer there, and after some back and forth discussions between Brian and some of those initial meetings, we came up with the solution to offer the planters, because that would offer some type of screening capabilities, especially where that drive aisle will be very close to the right-of-way line. And then that also gave Brian some flexibility that if these planters were essentially like with a bolt that could secure it to the ground, that, during any normal seasons, daily operations and stuff, that would be perfectly fine screening out there. And then during winter conditions, if they do have to be relocated for snow removal purposes, ease of access, anything like that, that would be the intention to have those removed. If we did put in curbing there, essentially we would be right up against the right-of-way line, so we would not have any space to do any sort of landscape screening. That wouldn't be on Brian's property. If anything was done, it would be directly within the town right-of-way. So that's where that kind of concession of the planters we thought might be the best to kind of satisfy both providing a barrier but also providing screening as well.
If I could add something to this also, just kind of popped into my head too. One of the ideas of the barriers and the width of the barriers, the planters, so to speak, was in the town's plan that was sequestered from Shadow, and I forget who it was that did some of that work there on the VMU. And I believe it was in the bylaws, as I read through the bylaws, about it was referring to planters, and it actually showed a diagram in the Shadow Kowalski, whoever the people that did that study that the town commissioned.
The visioning session.
Yeah, for that piece, and I actually saw planters that were describing the same thing in there, and that's where I kind of got that idea from, was going with that. So I'm sure if you look through there, you'll see it. I found it easy enough.
Well, if you had I'm just going to suggest this. If you had a granite curb that went down there and then you had a 6-inch removable bollard, they come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. They go in sleeves, they get bolted down, they knockdowns, they're all kinds of stuff. 6-inch bollards all the way down that line, then that protects that. And the town's going to go by at 20 miles an hour and shoot that snow all the way up to the front door. So you're going to have to clean it up somehow, and that's bad. But a planter, a removable planter, which I think of a plastic bucket or a wooden planter, is not going to make it. As far as I'm concerned, anyway, it needs to be something more permanent.
What happens there now for snow removal?
It just
Does
gets pushed into those parking spaces.
And when there was a business in there, then they
Business
had
had
no
to clean it
parking or what?
No, the business had to clean it out.
It went back and forth a little bit, and actually there is so much between the runoff right there in the sun on that parking lot.
It melts.
It
quick.
melts,
Yeah,
even on
melts
way
fast.
below freezing. That parking lot melts right out.
Well, I think it'd be good to get some input from Public Works, Highway Department, and maybe where he needs to interact, to make clear what we're looking for input on, so we can get to a closure on it. Does that sound okay, Brian?
It sounds fine to me. I mean, the only other issue when we discussed this last time, Brian, was that the amenity space is on another piece of property, but you said you were going to, remove that property line?
No, the
I was
property
waiting to
line-
hear yes, but
No, the property line as it is what I'm proposing, and that would stand. Even if the property line changed in the future, I've had the meets and bounds drafted, but it doesn't mean it's gonna happen. There's really not a lot of reason for it. It's basically instead of making that property line follow the edge of the building in every jog in and out, which is just crazy, it would just go straight across right through the drive aisle essentially, which would be outside of the amenity area. So that would, to answer your question, I believe that would still stay, but even if it didn't, there's a blanket easement over the whole place. What's there for amenity, what's approved by the town, if so, would be there to stay. So it's not gonna change with anything and be taken away from anybody or anything. That's a shared amenity space for the most part, so.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if Brian were to dissolve the property line, he will lose his non-conforming protections. So, if he were to make any adjustments, that's why we did discuss it at a development team meeting when that idea was floated originally, and that's a big problem, would be a big problem for him.
It's beyond me. So, have we got anything else for tonight?
Mr. Chair, if I could, where the snow storage and landscape areas is that, a separation. What does that separation consist of?
There'd probably be some crushed stone up there and also some grassed areas. It's gonna be pervious either way.
Okay, because back to Justin's point, because the traffic will be coming around, the building from down Williams around on, the next to the building on Hawthorne, then coming back through the parking lot and coming straight into that area, straight towards that landscape area. So, I mean, it just needs to, would feel like there should be something more permanent in that.
Yeah, if you're concerned of the patrons of that, I mean, they're totally non-conflicting hours of where the microbrew, which is family friendly, by the way, it's not a bar room, tap room type of situation at all. It is a family friendly microbrew. That's going to have non-competing hours with the daycare, i.e. holidays, weekends. Daycare is closed at night. They're open at night. It's
But I thought they were opening, when I looked at your chart, I thought there was some overlap, like,
slightly,
the
yeah, when you get
four-
into
the-
like Friday or something like that. I
yeah,
think they were
on Thursdays or Fridays at like 4 o'clock or something like that was,
daycare is pretty well emptying out, I'm sure, by 4 o'clock on a
they are,
Friday.
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That's an early daycare drop off.
Yeah.
Pickup.
My thought also does count, like if that is, as a shared amenity space, like if some of the daycare, students or even staff happen to be, snacking there, because maybe those people's pickup is later, but pickup's already started, it's also a protection on that too. That's where my thought is coming from.
Yeah. You know what, I had seen the space that looked familiar to me was where the dentist is up on 122 up there. They've got an area with the crushed stone, the picnic tables behind that set back probably, 10 feet or something, and then grass on the side, so it's easy access, and a very similar situation is what I was thinking for the snow removal, snow storage, and also the amenity space.
Yeah, I don't know how strongly I feel on my point at the moment, to be completely candid, but it was just it came to mind when I was thinking about what similarly have we had outdoors where people will be drinking and what have you required then. That's all. And we have the perpendicular parking to the amenity space anyway to the William Street side of the brewery location. So if someone does park there, they can go straight in if they really were unsafe of a driver in that area. So that's kind of where I was thinking.
No, understood, and I understand the concern, but there's really only so much that you can really do to try to protect everybody in every event, and
Yep.
these are clear practical concerns. I hear you, I understand that. Just trying to find out where there's the line of how much can we do? You know, there's a lot of practical things. You know, it's a parking lot that's controlled in the flow, and
Yes.
hopefully nobody's speeding through there. You look at it now, and it's 30 miles an hour through that parking lot diagonally. It's just insane. It's a major improvement, if I can say that. It's a major improvement.
What
Totally
you've got
agree.
here is really no comparison to what's there today.
I'd like to think not. I hope not.
The, remind me, the microbrewery, you will be able to drink beer there?
You will. Yep.
Okay. It's not just go and buy.
No. It's frankly for people to stop in after work. You know, have a beer on Saturdays. A lot of these are destinations for people now. They'll go and they'll stop, have a beer at one place, go to the other. It's
Yeah, that's okay. I'm trying to picture flows. Again, there is, I think I'm reading this right, that there is what looks like a driveway right across from the Cumberland Farm driveway.
correct.
Now, what's gonna keep people from coming up to Williams and going up it and then coming in there and trying to merge with the traffic that's coming in from the front?
Nothing really outside of parking lot rules that I can dictate to the daycare people of how the flow will project through that. That's built into the lease that they have to abide by the rules of the premise.
The reason for having the driveway there,
It was suggested by the town because it is there and that it does need to be there for access on that street as a secondary means. And there will be people, I'm sure, that are coming from Cumberland Farms that just might want to scoot across and go in, just to keep a little ease of flow. Again, we're closing up so much of the egress, uncontrolled egress, to focusing on just a couple of points of egress and trying to manage the traffic that way.
you can't get in there at all, there's fencing.
No.
I'm enjoying that, trust me.
That'd probably, Okay, who else has?
If I may also add, for a few moments, just because this not clear fully on this plan here, it's a little bit clearer on the grading plan. That sidewalk is not intended to be flush, especially the one along where the amenity space is going to be. That will have a 6-inch lip there, so that would be standard curbing that is on that portion. And then anything on the landscape side as well, we are intending to have curbing there as well to act as any deterrence. In terms of the daycare and any potential parking concerns or stacking concerns there, we do have two 24-foot drive aisles that will be within the daycare employee parking area. We are intending to have discussions with the daycare staff to have teachers out there to direct cars. And in the event that we do need to utilize 12 feet, so we have essentially one lane for additional stacking, we would still be able to provide an extra 12 feet for one lane for bypass at that point as well. So we would try to make sure that there is no cars that are stacked right up near the entrance by Williams Road, so that does allow for free traffic to move through the site.
If I could add to that too, I have had the discussion with the daycare people, and the parents generally don't get out of the car. They pick the kids right up there. And that people that might need some assistance, they can just advance around to the back where there is more space to, not eat up that queue space and allow them to help out there, as well as the 10 spaces that are up front where they can actually park and if they have to go in.
So drop off and pick up are usually without the parents getting out of the
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
Both ways. Okay.
Well, whatever it is, it'll be better.
I'm trying.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I think I'll just, make one more comment on the outdoor amenity space and protection there. I think that it was good to note that, that the sidewalk is a
They do have
typical,
a reveal,
typical
like,
raise. You'd have a
noted
vertical curb between the sidewalk and the pavement. And that's pretty common when a sidewalk butts right up against the pavement. And that plus the visual, the visual distance between the visual separation between the parking lot and the amenity space, both with the sidewalk and the landscape area. To me, that's sufficient under normal circumstances. You can always imagine someone goes crazy in the car, and there's only so much you can do to deal with that. But to me, what you've got here seems sufficient to separate the amenity space from the traffic.
And I thank you, and I should have noted that there is a 6-inch reveal all around. I knew that, and I appreciate John piping in and bringing that up.
Yeah,
Okay.
it makes
No
a big
worries.
difference.
The only location where that 6-inch reveal will not be provided is going to be in the front of the 215 Worcester Street building. We do have curb stops proposed. It's just for ADA purposes. We thought it would be easier to blend in the pavement with the sidewalk there. But again, those would have your standard curb stops to prevent cars from
Yep.
going up against the building.
Okay. Is there anything more we need to do tonight? Is there anything more we could do tonight?
We should probably explicitly ask for public comment, because there are some people sitting in this room. I don't know offhand if they were with the applicant, but
Residents on Williams Road.
Oh, please, if either of you have anything,
either mic is fine.
I'm sorry?
Any microphone is fine.
Yeah, so I'd like to,
name and location.
Mike Ulichny, 25 Williams Road.
Yeah.
Very excited for the facelift that's going on at the end of the street. We're just all concerned about traffic. Williams Road is an inlet and outlet for not only Williams, but Hawthorne and all the neighborhoods back there. And taking a left in rush hour in the morning and at night is very tough. I typically just take a right, turn around somewhere, and go towards the Pike. But 200 kids, I think we can probably assume that they're coming from both directions. People tend to come in, if there's an inlet on Williams onto the property, they're gonna cut in there, stopping traffic. So we're just wondering if Juncus can be used, or there's can be like a widening of the road on Williams. I understand the traffic light. I've worked with DOT before. It's and we don't have enough to justify the light on state road. I don't know if that would solve the problem either way, but
Could I jump in and address that fact?
Yeah. Yeah, we know that Joncas is a work in progress
It is.
outside of this project.
It is. That's why we haven't been able to address that, because we don't have a final plan. I have with Paul discussed, from DPW and also with Fiona, certain ways that I believe it's gonna play out. We requested as much information as we could. I've reached out to land planning to try to get some information. I understand the process with the town, and we're gonna work in conjunction with them when we get to that point. And that's what I'm certainly hoping. A lot of the neighborhood people will be able to access Juncus Terrace all the way through there and out. And frankly, I'm hoping for the daycare people that they service a lot of people up in those neighborhoods as well, so.
yeah, I know that there's cost involved with the traffic study, but there's usually accountability with the third party and how everything kind of shakes out. And then I have two kids in preschool daycare age, and there's typically a sign in and out. And at least the ones that I go to, we can't. I think it's more grade school that they'll come out and get in the car. Just concerned about the backup and then not being able to.
Yes, I do know their flow. It's definitely, they have the kids actually dropped off right there, and the teachers, or all staff is gonna be there in advance, and they take the children, collect them, and bring them in little by little, so.
I'm just not sure if there's any assurances of like the traffic getting impeded by like a backup getting into that side from people coming from the Worcester side of 122, cutting into Williams to sort of get in that way. And I understand there's meetings and drop off and tight window of time you can get things to happen, but
They do, and that's why, from controlling some of that through the parking agreement, that they have to, abide by the rules. They will convey that to the people, just like they can't just come willy-nilly. They have to come at their, prescribed period of
will
time.
they have a traffic guard?
They do. They have a
Out
full
there?
staff that's out there. I mean, they're gonna be, they do this
Would it be
actually.
down by the opening onto Williams? Or?
I'm not sure how that will be done, but I trust in them that they actually operate a large daycare right now, and they're used to managing these traffic flows. I know traffic pretty good just from my car wash experience, and it's relative to them to get these people in and out. They no longer want to impede the flow of traffic out there than you want to see it impeded. They want to, for them, it's economic sense. Get these people in, get them out, get them off to work, have the children dropped off safely. I trust in them that they have a very good plan. They're very capable people, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm just looking at worst case scenarios.
Yeah, I know.
Things
It's
get backed
this.
up and then
There's so many what ifs, and I totally understand, especially being up in the neighborhood and stuff. But something's gonna go in there, even if it isn't with me at some point, it'll be something else will be in there and something will happen. It's gonna require cars to come in and out. It's definitely a mass drop down in the volume of cars that were probably going in and out back in the day that was just like, all the willy-nilly businesses. This is a prescribed drop-off, pickup time at various hours. And then again, with the non-competing hours of the other businesses, it's really kind of about the most gentle exposure I could put out there. And with the VMUs, you can really increase the density on a parcel like this. But because of some of the initial environmental issues that have been addressed. And also just for the build-out, I'm trying to keep it simple, keep it clean, make it functional, offer something that everybody's going to enjoy a little bit, so.
Traffic is going to find wherever it wants to go.
It will.
No matter what plans you make, people will figure out what they think is the fastest way to do whatever they're gonna do, and they'll go that way. So, I think we can think of a good bit about what's gonna happen here, but then it's gonna do what it does, what people want it to do.
Yep.
You'll think you can get in there faster if you do
But
that.
if there's a natural
And
flow.
I don't, I think there's a finite limit on how much we can anticipate and fix.
Yeah.
I just want to get the concerns settled.
Right.
Is there anything else? Oh, do you?
Thank you. If you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, too, when we're all set with this gentleman, I just want to add one other thing to the traffic situation, just to give you perspective after the fact and after this gentleman's been able to address. No, I'm saying, I was going to interject and say something, but after this gentleman's been able to address, I just wanted to add to the traffic thing.
Brian Sullivan, 17 Williams Road. We're glad to see something going in there because it's been probably one of the biggest eyesores of North Grafton. But also, we're concerned with the amount of traffic. We have two small daycares on our street. And on those, just the parents walk the kids in because kids don't always, they're on ease, being dropped off, everything. So, worried about that. I know you can't plan on anything on Jonkus because that's not there yet. But also, another thing is with the microbrewery and restaurant and the outside seating, we in the neighborhood prefer no outside entertainment.
That would be the selectmen's
Selectmen's?
decision, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Entertainment licenses.
Yeah. But I know we had problems in the town when the reunion had theirs.
Yep.
Yes.
And that went to the select board and
Yep, okay.
I've stopped hearing about it, so I guess it's fixed.
Well,
Yeah, no,
He
I
thought-
remember hearing about that.
he thought he was God.
Yeah.
So,
Just-
anything that can be done, so like Williams Road, to take a left or a right in the morning is tough now. With the daycare, they gotta do something with the flow.
Just as a reminder, this was mentioned earlier in the conversation, that the daycare is an educational use protected by the so-called, the Dover Amendment. Now, what that means is that we are very limited into how we can regulate that. In fact, I think it's generally understood that there are 8 categories of regulation that the board can apply to it. Bulk and height of structures, yard sizes, lot area, setbacks, open space, parking, and building coverage. You'll notice I didn't mention traffic. And I think, and this came up earlier, that this board's power to deal with, to regulate relative to the traffic, specifically the traffic generated by the daycare, is at best very limited.
Okay.
Okay, I think we certainly hear the concern, and it's a very understandable. With other projects that we've reviewed in that same general area, traffic, getting onto Worcester Street if you have to make a left turn is problematic. No, there's no doubt about it. But
And Cumberland Farms did a traffic study and said there wasn't gonna be any problem, if you remember. And it is at times. We've had a lot of accidents down there.
I've never seen a traffic study that said anything except
Yeah.
it won't be a problem. It doesn't get to us until it says that, right?
Yeah.
No matter what it starts with.
So if I could add to, and I understand the concerns clearly, especially being in the neighborhood, valid concerns. But it is a known quantity too with the daycare. It's an absolute known quantity, and throughout the course of the day, almost zero traffic in and out of there from the daycare center.
With daycares, from what we realized too, is the parents come in quick and they leave quick. They're unstressed because they're running late from work. And then when they go to pick up the kids, they're running late going out.
I think we understand the concern, but
Yeah, I know you live.
our friends in Boston have arranged it so that we don't have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, my only extra comment just to say is, back when I bought my first house here in Grafton, which I'm still living in now, but I was told my realtor to put an offer in on 11 Williams Street, which is the corner of Hawthorne and Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And when the realtor put the offer in, there was already an accepted offer, and that was like 2 days after the first open house. So,
Yeah.
but saying that to make the point that even if I was living there,
Yeah.
I would think this is a great use for the property in general. Like I think this is a good solution. I would share your exact same concerns on traffic, and I still do. But because of the Dover Amendment that I learned since joining the planning board, there's not really much we can do regarding that, unfortunately.
I've lived there for 60 years, so.
I think it just might end up with, if it becomes a problem, they gotta talk to the state. It's the state's road. Say, this is a bigger problem than the other ones you have with your roads, and you need to fix them.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I'm available if you have any other questions.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, if I could just add, just to give you perspective of traffic. 40 years I managed traffic, 45 years, yeah. The car wash down there, and I know that was a massive concern about how much traffic that's going to produce. And it's on peak days, they're very predictable days, and they're able to manage it through parking lot management. But part of it too is that place produced some days over 2,000 cars a day were in and out of that place. Oh yeah. So I mean, it's a lot of traffic that's in and out of there, but it gets absorbed fairly comfortably and it flows nice and it's half the size. So 200 cars at staggered hours. It's really not a
How many
huge
of
amount.
them make left turns?
A lot of people try.
Well, when you get old, people stop making left turns.
Because
You
you
just
can't
keep
turn
going
your neck.
right, and then they have to go all the way around. Sometimes it takes a couple hours for people to get home.
yeah, no, if you're headed north,
That was
and
a joke. I didn't fly for
Oh,
it, but that was
I
a joke.
see. Okay. Yeah, no, the one thing, Stop and Shop gives some help for some people, like people who are heading the other way with a donut shop. It's impossible to make a left turn out. So I told one guy, and he, oh yeah, go down to Stop and Shop and
Turn around.
use the light. And someday we're going to get some sort of turnaround opportunities, but because they won't make the road 4 lanes wide. Okay, so anything more that we have to do? You got everything you want?
Yeah, I just ask again for the graciousness of the board and Madam Planner, everybody present, just to try to see it in a common sense way to be able to get this forth. I'm also facing a time constraint with the weather, performance agreements for some of the tenants, there's a lot of weight on my side to really get this thing wrapped up and get going, be able to do the site work and
Mass Highway.
get things addressed as soon as I can. So that's why I just ask for the graciousness of just as expediently as we can, because I'm really right up against the edge of a wall right now with this. I would love to see it go through.
I think
Be able
everybody-
to just
I
have
think
it in the
everybody
rearview mirror and see a nice piece of property developed that's generating income from the town and
Yeah.
doing a service.
I think,
I had to do my thing there.
thank you. So do you, want to request a continuation until the next meeting?
I think I probably should. I mean, I'd love to see it.
Well, we don't have,
Could we ever do it
we
with conditions?
we have concerns at this point. I'm not sure that we have completed updated plans.
So I was just going to ask, so for the board, just for my own clarification, so we need confirmation about the, snow removal processes and the interaction of, snow removal with the planters. There's an issue with the flagpole. I think the curbing was still something that was needed to be determined.
Excuse me, Fiona,
Yep.
that flagpole is gonna be taken care of through the DOT permit.
Okay, so.
So
we need to
because
follow-
that's it's actually on state property, so.
Okay,
So that whole front of the building or front of the property is gonna fall within the DOT permit.
okay. So, so if the board could just reiterate what they need, because we covered a lot of ground. I wrote everything down, but
So the things that I remember we need, and Mr. Chair or someone else, feel free to jump in if I'm missing something, is the DPW's opinion and statement regarding curbing, regarding Ray's opinion of needing it, and at least Ray's stated opinion of needing it, could be shared by others. The granite curbing, any potential update on more specifics or a better screening for the amenity space regarding my comments earlier, and
The planters on the backside.
the
Yeah, the
planters in the back,
barriers.
and the planters and how that snow removal is going to work. Those are the comments I remember.
And changing the wood stockade fence around the dumpster pads to, chain link and
Yep, thank you, Mr.
privacy
Mead.
screens.
And could I ask the board of this? Can we go quickly through that list and I can agree to some of these right off the bat? Ballads? Absolutely. If you want to see ballads, I'll put in ballads over there. That is a permanent solution.
And I'm just gonna give you my opinion, unless it's on the drawing. I'm not gonna say that it's, we
Yeah.
can do it. I understand your,
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if we could ever do it in, condition upon.
This is my problem. When we close the hearing, we have to make the decision based on what we have in hand now. Opinions that come back, drawing revisions and whatnot aren't really possible.
Sure.
So, that's your choice.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
One other thing to keep in mind is the board does not have a draft decision upon which we can deliberate and vote to approve. So the earliest that the board could actually approve the project is at our next meeting, 2 weeks from tonight. And in situations like this, we have fairly frequently, when there are a few details to be ironed out, maybe some updated documents, we pretty much know what the decision is going to look like. But we keep it's advisable to keep the hearing open, so as Bob just said, we can receive updated documents that reflect some of the things that we've talked about. And if we are close enough, and if staff has the time and resources to do that, we can continue this hearing for 2 weeks. At that meeting, we can receive all the remaining information, say that, okay, we've got everything we need. We can close the hearing, and right after that, we can maybe approve a decision. But that's sort of the most optimistic timing we can have is the board approving the decision 2 weeks from now.
Understood.
So it doesn't hurt to keep the hearing open so that additional documentation can be provided. And I think we're generally with Ray, like Ray said, we like to see things on paper rather than say, and sometimes you can write this into a decision, say, you've got to submit us this and this and this in order to, fully comply. But we're pretty much always more comfortable if we have everything in writing before we approve it.
Understood, and I appreciate the input on
So
that.
the question for you would be, for you and your team is,
Yes.
what more do you need to put in writing so that we can get things done?
Well, that's why I was just gonna suggest if we could but I understand the process.
And if,
Close the field so that we don't get into it too broad. If I can agree to certain things, say, okay, here's what we need to focus on for the next meeting, so that we can say, okay,
And in writing is always better.
yeah,
too, for
and,
the-
Yeah.
and what you, and whatever you can agree to tonight,
put it,
plans and documents can be revised to reflect that, and that part of it essentially will be done.
understood.
There's only a couple things here that still need to, that are still a little bit up in the air. The barrier treatment for this relative to snow removal, questions about the curbs, and the details. I mean, if for example take Ray's stockade fences, if you're basically saying, yeah, I can agree to that, then that's just all you need to do is document that. You don't need to do a lot of work other than that. There's things that still need a little bit of work. Those are the ones that we really want to make sure that we know, that you know what you need to do, and that the board is comfortable that everything's going to be covered. Right?
And you can file online, I'm sure John knows this, you can file online for DOT permits. But that process it can take 2.5 to 3 months.
It is. That's why I'm hoping we can make that separation. That's something I don't have control over, or the town. That's the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Well, they're, if you read their regulations, you can't do any construction within the state
Within the
with
state
state
area.
bounds until you have that permit. That
Correct.
doesn't mean that you can't work on that site.
Well, that's why I didn't want to.
So it's 2.5
Yeah.
It's 2.5 months to 3 months to get through that process, and then you run into, as you said, you run into other issues because they close the road to excavation right before Thanksgiving. So that's you have to do it. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we deal with the DOT permit basically as a condition of our approval, because our approval always includes that you have to get any other permits that you need. And I think we don't require that you have the state permit before we issue ours.
Yeah, but if the state ends up doing something that changes the plan that we approve, then you have to come back around to us. But all that said, either we close the hearing or you ask to continue to the next
I
one.
asked for the continuance.
You're
of the
asking,
hearing.
Okay.
and
one north
we'll
one
have a
and
form
215
for
Worcester
you
Street.
to sign the request.
And just through you, Mr. Chair, one quick thing I want to say very, very quickly is, having heard how busy the planning department is right now, and with Fiona taking some additional time off this month, I do want to be clear. I would not have an expectation of having a draft decision for the next meeting. If one happens to exist, that could be beneficial for all involved, but there should be no expectation of that. But having said that, I move we grant the applicant's forthcoming written request to continue this hearing until November 10th at 7:30 p.m.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Thank you
Discussion.
very much for your time.
Dis-
Appreciate it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. So you'll be here for that meeting. Okay.
Thank you again.
And thank
Great.
everybody
Thank you all
for
so much.
their participation.
Just have you sign. Don't go anywhere. And I'll just fill out the rest.
I do believe.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
That's not debatable. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Fiona?
We are adjourned.